Yes, and we are back here on Living in the 21st Century again, and joining me is Monique McNeil, MPA, and we have a great conversation, and we're going to be looking, Monique, today at the integrity of the evangelical Christians in this country and the political environment. So, Monique, here's the thing. We know that the evangelicals support the ideologies of abortions and pro-life, and they tend to back Trump as this decent leader because of what his philosophies are. They see nothing wrong. They're going to work for him. They're going to do what they need to do for him to see that he gets back in power. And they believe he is a God sent. You know, and this is a fundamental problem when you're going to go against the teachings of God and uphold a person as a leader that doesn't care anything about the Bible, that don't even know anything about the Bible, despite how much he said he had grown up into Sunday school. We see nothing that reflects mercy, compassion, love, or peace with Donald Trump.
Not at all.
All we see from Donald Trump is bigotry, hatred, confusion, malice, turmoil. That's what he stands for. That's his integrity.
Right.
That's his legacy. We see, I mean, think about it. The amount of, I don't want to use the word riots, but the amount of protesting we have since Donald Trump came into power, the amount of firing of decent people who serve on his administration since he came into power, he had taken them and he threw them aside because they was not standing for his scrap of leadership. But yet still, you got evangelicals that believe he's doing the right thing. Now, break it down a little bit to me, Monique. How could we be in such an insensitive nation?
I don't honestly even know how to even answer such a question like that. It's like we need our soul back. I feel like America.
I love that. Joe Biden said it. We are fighting for the soul of our nation.
That's right.
We are fighting for the soul of our nation.
That's right.
Because our nation become confused.
Yeah.
They no longer know what's right from wrong.
Right.
This man has spewed so much damn lies into this place that people beginning to believe the lies that it is truth. He reflects nothing that stands for principle and decency.
You know what I think about? It's brainwashing. I can compare him to, when I look back, to Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
How did he brainwash a whole country to believe that they were the superior?
Adolf Hitler was an artist that transitioned to a con artist.
I look at Trump, to me.
And that's who
as
Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
He's a con artist.
Yep.
That's who he really is, a con artist.
Yeah.
And he is, you know, I just can't begin to imagine how many people, his base, can be so negligent to what's going on in this country.
Right.
We got a man who worshiped dictators.
Dictators, that's right. That's right. And not even just in this country, but around the world. What's happening internationally.
Yeah.
He, has really defied our friendships. He's gone against our allies. He doesn't even back the UN, the United Nations, which is a platform where all the nations come together and make for a universal type of resolve. He just completely undermines every fundamental principality of the way that this country is ran, and policy and procedure and the rule of law. These are all things that make America.
Of course.
the land of the free. This is all the facets that make us who we really are. These are the fundamentals, cores of America. And he's completely just slashed every bit, every shred of its dignity. Our word doesn't mean anything. Look what he did to the DACA recipients. When Obama was in administration, he said to them, all the undocumented immigrants, come forward. Come forward, come document it. And it will let you, if you're working, we'll let you work. If you're going to school, you're going to school. But come so you can be documented. This man comes into power and completely backstabs all those people who came forward. All those thousands and thousands of people who came forward and documented themselves.
I think
our word doesn't mean anything.
I know. I think
and it's just real scary.
I think his smartest way of opening the door to get elected in 2016 is when he declared he is not a politician. In fact, when he went to jury duty, he said he's not a politician. He's a construction dude or contractor or something like that. I think what had misled the people is that they think, you know what? It's time to change. It's something different.
Right.
Let me get a person who is not a politician. And by rights, he was very clever in how he framed it. Right. Because if I can tell the American people, listen.
Right. But he's good at that. He's good at it. Working the media. He's good at working the media. He's good at working the media, and he's good at playing to your conscience. He's good at plaguing on your fears. Let me say this so you could think about this.
Exactly.
To take your mind off of this.
But then it made perfect sense then, because we recognize that you wasn't any better off then than you is now, having the everyday modern politician at your side. Right? So get something new and innovative. Get a businessman. Get a successful billionaire. Even though
is he really that successful? Well, because as I heard, he has a lot of bankruptcies.
Well, he has a lot of bankruptcies, and he cheated a lot of people.
That's right.
Out of payments for doing contractual jobs for him.
Right.
But the reality is that it worked at that time.
Right.
But little did he know that the same media who pushes you up can pull you down.
That's right.
Because when things didn't start to turn out the way people were expecting it would, he collapsed.
Right.
And there are a lot of Republicans, or there are a lot of people who vote Republicans, 50% I understood, that will not vote Republican again because they thought this guy was the true deal. But he was far from being the good deal. So this comes right back now to put a spoke in his wheel. It just ain't working out. He betrayed the American people.
He betrayed them.
And I know the Republicans know that too. The senators know that too.
Yeah, but how can they sleep at night?
Well,
where is your morality? How can you sleep at night knowing?
Their soul is soul. Their soul is soul.
I'm just so like,
If you can't stand up and tell the person who's leading you just because you want to make sure you sustain your power, you want to make sure you sustain your vote to be senator for the next term around.
At the cost of lives.
Right.
Because that's essentially what it comes down to. It's at the cost of lives.
Right. And he inspiring Russia. He don't believe that Russia's into. Matter of fact, his attorney general said, when the question was asked, who think pose the most threat to the United States of America? Is it Russia or is it China or Afghanistan? And what he said? China. But come on.
They've been our, not to say we're best friends, but we definitely have relationship, whether it's through trade or whatever. They're definitely not our biggest threat.
There's not our biggest threat, politically speaking.
No.
It's simply Russia, and there's reasons. There are a lot of reasons why it would be simply Russia. But he had betrayed the American people.
Oh, he's getting a peace prize, though.
No kidding.
He's getting a peace prize.
He's
getting the Nobel Peace Prize for sitting down with.
I believe that Nobel Peace Prize is going to lose its integrity.
Everything has lost its integrity.
It
I don't even know who I speak to people who Well, it's very interesting to me to hear different perspective on what's happening. And older people, younger people, they're just so like, what? And now this is like a circus, a never-ending, scary roller coaster circus clown ride. That is just, there are no fundamentals how this government is being ran. He does whatever he wants to do. He, this is not.
Well, look, it's a broken government. Here's the reality. You can basically say you have a dictator running a democratic nation. That's the reality. And that is a fundamental problem. When you have elements or trace elements of dictatorial standards playing a role in a democracy, that's even far worse off than if you had a dictatorship country opposed to a country of democracy. Because you are traumatizing the integrity of the nation. You are traumatizing the integrity of the Constitution.
That's right.
You are traumatizing democracy. And the senators know this. But they're playing his game.
It's like he's the puppeteer.
It's sickening. It's disgusting. And it's about time that people call him out for who he really is. Because he is sending this nation straight to hell. And if he get in for the next 4 years, all those Republicans and his base
every
that
time you
put him
say
in,
it, I get queasy.
No, think about it. His base who put him in.
Right.
When they recognize that the Affordable Act is abolished and completely abolished, and they recognize one day that they got a pre-existing condition and they can't get insurance,
Right.
they're going to start to think it's going to be too late. When they recognize that they can't afford to pay insurance anymore because it's skyrocketing. He always talk about Obama insurance is going up every year and premiums
Well, you're talking about a man who doesn't even appreciate those who risk their lives for this country. Heroes, American heroes who risk their life. He calls them suckers and losers.
Well,
this is a man who
Well, even take it a little bit step further. Back there in Russia, I understood that there was bounties placed on American soldiers' head to take them out. And the guy refused to accept that information. He refused. He don't listen to his own intelligence. He believed that, but he said it. If no one can't run a nation, he's prepared to run it himself. Right? If no one can do it, he'll do it himself. Democracy don't work like that.
It doesn't. And the founding fathers did not create.
It wasn't framed that way.
No, it wasn't.
And it's sad. I hope to God that it's not still too late, but we are now in heat of elections, voting.
What kills me is that there's so many people that recognize that this is wrong. But they're not coming forward. Like, I don't understand why this man isn't sitting in a federal prison by now. All the things that he has been a part of. All the lies, all the scandals, he was already impeached.
Well,
he was already like...
The reality is he's president, he has a lot of power. I mean, it's a lot of power and very strong powers. And it's hard to override those powers. But at some point, you can be a president today.
But I tell you one thing. 8 years
down the road, you can be an average citizen. You can be just a net citizen.
I tell you one thing, though, that this presidency has really shone a light on the discrepancies and the holes that lie within our government and our Constitution.
Yes.
And I think that's the first time that I ever looked at it like that. Well, this man has absolute power.
Yes.
Maybe in the future, it shouldn't be that way.
Well,
because...
But even though you have absolute...
Because look what he's doing.
Even though you have absolute power, Congress equally shares those powers. Like, for example, he can wage war all he likes, but he still has to get Congress approval to start a war, right? But he's not the sole heir to absolute power. He's not above the law. And so
Well, that's how they're making it seem, though. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like there's...
well, there are a few people who come on and say that he's not above the law. But he's not above the law.
No, he's not.
And the things he got away with, every president had given and showed up their taxes before they
that should have been the issue from the... This is what I'm saying. So there should be... Next time, we should really think cognitively about the way our government is ran and the way our election process is ran, and that there are certain requirements that it shouldn't be your choice if this is what you want to submit to the American people. You have an obligation, you have a duty, you have a responsibility to be transparent, and that should be one of the requirements.
Yes.
So as soon as you start seeming like you want to go off the beaten path, that should be a red flag, and the power should be within the people, not just a Republican-geared Congress, because once again, that's not bipartisanship, because it's all basically Republican.
Right.
We don't have the power to vote or make really decisions in Congress because it's more right. Okay, and maybe that's another thing we should. This is the first time that I've looked at the way our institutions are run and said, oh my God, we've given what happened to the checks and balances? Things are, the pendulum have shifted too far to the right. There's no oversight in what's happening. There's no one that's this franchise from this group of people to oversee all the people. So these are just proposals in my mind. I'm always thinking all the time, well, how can we, better the situation? We can't go from this presidency and do nothing from here. There's too many holes that it's making me cognitively think.
Well, one of the things we have to look at carefully again is the Democrats.
Right.
And I think their wake-up call had come, but it came too late. They had, back in 2008, when they had the presidency, they had both Senate and Congress for 2 years. And they took it for granted. And they could have passed, Obama could have passed executive orders to have things done if, matter of fact, he didn't even have to do that because he had
But
Congress.
then again, Trump just undid everything Obama did.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true.
So,
well, look, we have, I think the Democrats have...
We could have did more, though.
We could have done more.
We could have did more as far as, especially within law enforcement, because these are not issues that just arose in 2020. These are issues that has been happening throughout this country.
Yes.
For 400 years now. So you're right. There was power that was given upon the Democrats. There was power given, like you said, Eric Holder. He was in a position of power,
of course,
to really make a lot of executive decisions and a lot of executive orders. And he dropped the ball when it comes to that. When you were there, you had the floor, you had the microphone,
you had everything.
You had the microphone, and you just had stage fright. I don't know what happened.
What is Eric Holder's legacy? There's none.
Right.
I mean, think about it.
I liked Susan Rice, but I think she came in towards more the end.
You see, and this is the same point I was making a while ago, is that when black people taste the ultimate power in their hand and have absolute power, they no longer think black. They no longer recognize where they came from. They no longer understand the issues and problems they are faced with. They are too high up there. They don't see down there anymore. They only see you when it's election time. That is absolutely wrong. And Obama did, and he said it many times. Some people didn't believe it. Some people didn't want to hear it. But Obama didn't do nothing much for black people, if anything at all. What Obama said when he first got in, the day he was sworn in, do not expect special treatment. But Donald Trump people, they're getting special treatment. Donald Trump never said that. So why? You're the black president, black people put you in, they put you in.
Came out and voted in numbers
that
we've never even seen before.
But don't expect special treatment. We're not expecting special treatment. We never had special treatment.
We just want quality.
We just want equality. You have a black attorney general and he couldn't give us that. He can put things in place to get us to that point. Because black people don't have equality in this country.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
And they're two separate justice systems, one for white and one for black.
And that, correct.
We see it.
And this is why it kind of, like I said, it stirs up something inside of me when we're not investing in ourselves and we're not uplifting each other. And it's like nobody else has our back but us. Can't we stick together? Can't we build and invest in each other and try to, instead of having such divisiveness amongst our own selves?
Economic deprivation.
Yep.
You understand? Economic deprivation. Let's look at Chicago. A state that was once booming and going well, and then everything went downhill.
Right.
And I like to always state this, and I'm very fair across the board. From the moment Ronald Reagan would have established and set the foundation for NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Act, we had George Bush Sr. came in, negotiated it. We had Bill Clinton came in and approved it. Hundreds and thousands, probably millions of jobs were flown out of this country, out the country. They went to Mexico, China, Indonesia, India, the list goes on and on, right? And what the politicians do? Oh man, illegal immigration stole your jobs. Illegal immigration stole your jobs. When both Republicans and Democrats alike use the same illegal immigrants to do their handiwork. But the illegal immigrants stole the American jobs. There was news for political footstools over and over. And I will say this, and I will say this. And I'm not Republican, but I will say this. George Bush Jr. would have been the best president the United States of America ever seen in the 20th and 21st century. Yes, he fought two wars simultaneously, and it wasn't supposed to be like that. But he sent a message to the world that if you mess with America, we coming at you. That kept America safe after 9/11. It really kept America safe after 9/11.
Well, see, the only thing I question about that is that Iraq war.
Because
9/11 stemmed off of Al-Qaeda, which had nothing to do with Iraq. So I was a little confused.
Well, there was some misleadings there by Dick Cheney, but they said, and they wrapped.
But compared to what we have now, I'll take him. Give me back Bush. I'll take Mitt Romney.
Right. And what led to George Bush Jr. going out of power with a bad name and a person who failed the economy and a person who do this is, look, the economy was already fragmented on Bill Clinton's ticket. From the moment he signed that NAFTA agreement.
I bet you he's laughing his ass off right now.
Yeah. It was already fragmented.
You thought that I was the worst.
And you know what? And that wall collapsed on George Bush ticket. And it made him look bad. All the jobs went out on George Bush ticket. But who made it possible for them to leave on his ticket? Bill Clinton. Right. So he looked like the bad president. He also did the whole
mass incarceration situation too, Clinton.
Right. So I would take off my hat to George, and I judge him among all the presidents, because he fought for illegal immigration. Both him and Senator Edward Kennedy and Senator John McCain fight like crazy to pass comprehensive immigration reform for this country. They fought hard to get it done, right? And nothing came out of it. But I respected George W. Bush Jr. for that. He did his best, despite of what people say he was and what he did. But putting that aside, we are.
Well, he had leadership. Once again, you're talking about somebody who was a leader.
Of course.
Who believed in leadership, who believed in a strong cabinet, who believed in transparency. I don't ever feel that George Bush was deceptive. Really, the only thing was the Iraq war, which was a little funky. But other than that, I never felt like, I always felt like he believed in the constituency of his cabinet.
Yes.
and that government,
Yes.
and that we're going to discuss this, and we're going to, you know what I mean? So
Right.
he put everything on the table and said, this is what I come up with, let's talk about it.
Okay.
And I could definitely respect that.
Right.
I could definitely
Right.
respect
Right.
that.
And basically, if there's one thing that
It's about
we
recognizing
would have learned,
leadership.
yeah, if there's one thing we would have learned, it's how Senator Edward Kennedy and Senator John McCain, two separate others, one Republican,
Yep.
one Democrat,
Yep.
they knew how to put aside politics
Yep.
and see people, see humanity,
Yep.
and deal with humanity the way it ought to be dealt with.
Right.
That's what I
Right.
respect those two men for. They were great.
Yeah.
They were great leaders of this country.
Yeah, they were.
They made a significant difference
were.
in politics.
Yes.
And since they died, the Republican lose. In fact, it's no longer Republican Party. They call it now the Trump's party. Because they all sold their souls. And that's a serious thing.
You know, I think about if Ed Kennedy was still alive,
Yeah.
or, you know, some of the dynamic McCain.
Right.
Where would we be? Would it be like they were such a driving
Even
force in their party?
If Senator John McCain was
I
still
respected
alive,
him. I respected him. I mean, he believed.
he would have still kept the Republican Party in its place.
Right.
Right?
Right.
He,
I believe that.
He would have kept it in its place.
that.
Trump would have had to take his place. He stood up as a true leader, and he stood for integrity.
Right.
And
Right.
when he passed,
Ugh, what a loss.
this nation,
Right.
that was a big loss to this country.
That was a big loss. A huge loss.
A huge loss.
That was a huge loss. Because he kind of kept order.
Exactly.
When you try to trickle off to the right, he said,
Yes.
no, come back over here, right in the middle.
Right.
You know, he was one of the, just like when, you know, Ed Kennedy, when you try to trickle off, no, come back to the
they
middle.
kept things in
They
the
kept the
perspective.
balance. That's right. And they could
Exactly.
reach across the aisle. They could reach across the aisle.
Exactly.
And they believed in bipartisanship.
Yeah.
And that, forget the affiliation, let's talk about what's in the best benefit of the people. And, you know, I think back to some of the, some of the catastrophes that has happened and the benefit packages that were put